Hey, Miss Davis, I just want to make sure you can hear me.
I can.
Okay, good deal. I'm going to go ahead and mute and turn my camera off.
Okay. Can you see my slide? I was trying to present my slideshow just to see.
We're doing a sound check.
Okay. We're live, Ashley. She's doing a sound check, so just a moment.
So we just, for 2 years now, we've had a model of 0.7, 0.68, I think, 0.66, which he said may be the lowest in the state, he's not sure.
All right, let's see if we can hear now. I'm gonna walk out here and see if we can hear now.
They have sound. They have sound.
So is Cindy gonna come in here or do it from her screen?
She's going to do it.
Cindy's gonna share from her screen.
Because I feel like I hear someone talking out there.
Cindy wants us to show those videos first.
Okay.
Photos from the video.
Wilson, King. Yeah. Yeah. I saw this week, and it doesn't last very long at all. But I asked the ladies to put this together. Kind of thought it was appropriate for our first week back with in-person kids, so to speak. Oh wait, this is the different video. I apologize.
These are the pictures that she wanted added with the video. The
Okay.
videos are
Okay. So
here.
the video is in. All right. Great.
I had some of this I saw on Facebook and Twitter, some of these. The little ones were so happy to be at school.
This is the video.
This is the guy here.
What did you miss about coming to preschool? Well, preschool, you mean preschool? Yeah, that's the thing. I was just coming here to like play with my friends and like learn about some stuff.
Did you miss it when you couldn't come?
Yeah, I really missed you guys.
Oh, we missed you too. We're so glad you're back.
Well, I'm so glad you guys, my friends are back.
I hope you have a good day.
Well, I did have a good day at my house and did some schoolwork. So I really miss you guys to come here and and my friends.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad it's your first day back, isn't it?
So and I really miss you guys.
This is part of the telling our story of Kentucky. The template that we're using here.
Well, tell Tammy that video was precious.
Yeah, it was good.
Even at that age, yeah, it's amazing they realize, oh, I missed this.
Okay, Ms. Davis, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
We're ready to hear about being a difference maker.
All right.
She's in the Sarah
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so we just wanted to take a moment and talk about instructionally some things that we've been able to see in classrooms. So the district instructional team has been online and they've been visiting Google Classrooms, kindergarten through 12th grade. And we knew virtual learning was going to create some difficulties. And the amazing thing that we were able to see is that our teachers have risen to that challenge. And so through these virtual observations, we were seeing amazing teaching. We're seeing these wonderful teaching strategies being used, technology beyond things that we could have even imagined at this point. And so we wanted to take a moment and recognize Tyler Faulkner as our difference maker for the month of January. And just having the opportunity to be able to spotlight a teacher like Mr. Faulkner, who is truly being able to make a difference during these difficult times. And so Mr. Faulkner is a 6th grade math teacher at Corbin Middle School. And through the virtual observations, we were able to see his use of the breakout rooms. And what was so impressive with using these breakout rooms is it allowed the students in Mr. Faulkner's class to be able to work on their assignments or to be able to view pre-recorded lessons, and that gave him the opportunity to be able to work with students one-on-one. And so he was able to deliver instruction, he was able to speak to students about their grades, and the most important part is he was building relationships with these students so that when they're able to come back to in-person school, it's really going to help with that transition. And so I'm going to stop presenting for the moment, and I'm going to ask Mr. Faulkner to join us as our Difference Maker Award winner for the month of January.
Well, thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. I appreciate Ms. Davis and Ms. Watkins and Ms. Hill just for this recognition. And I mean, just a few seconds of your time, it was really neat to see because building that relationship piece is such a vital part of, instruction. I feel like if someone was to write a book, and there have been many people write books of the top teaching strategies, building that relationship has to be number one across the board. And so building those relationships, when we first started virtual, I thought, how can I do this? Before we went, virtual and we had, COVID season, I felt like I was able to excel in building that relationship with those kids that I had in my classroom. And so then I thought, how am I going to do this virtually? Utilizing those breakout rooms was vital, just to be able to have that one-on-one conversation, just to say, hey, how you doing? How are your assignments going? How are the rest of your classes going? And, I would help students in other classes and other subject areas just because they felt comfortable in that one-on-one experience. And so we hear lots of negative things about this virtual learning, but truly, I know that I have been able to connect to students that I may not have been able to reach if they were sitting in a class with 30 of their peers. And so it's been awesome just to be able to connect and build that relationship with all of my students. And so what's been really neat is this week, having those students come back into our building and just seeing the response. They already felt comfortable just being in my room and just having that conversation. And, so we were able to get more math done because we didn't have to, learn about each other. They felt comfortable coming in. And so that was really neat this week to see with those students coming in and just already having that relationship piece built with them. So it's been a trying year for everybody. It's been a hard year for everybody. But I truly feel like with this virtual component and utilizing those breakout rooms, it has been a game changer, for me, even moving forward past the COVID season, being able to utilize this in some capacity every year just to be able to build that relationship with the students, when they're not even in my classroom. So thank you all. Thank you, Ms. Watkins. Thank you, Ms. Hill. Thank you, Ms. Davis. And thank you, board, for this opportunity and for this recognition.
So, Mr. Faulkner, they made a frame, a little thing for you. And I like what it says that about placing the student in their own individual breakout room allows you to do all the things that you've been talking about. And the fact that you used it as a way to build relationships is the most important thing that teachers do. Because I think it's proven that people can learn in lots of ways, but to actually build relationships and help them grow as a person is really the most important. And so what you're doing, and I'm understanding that you've been kind of teaching other teachers how to do it as well. And that's the most important part.
Well, it's good too, because I mean, it's one of the things where it's great, you know, in our district, because it's when we find something that's working in our classroom. I think one thing that makes our district above everyone else's, it's not a, hey, I found this and I'm going to use it and not share it with everybody. Everyone in our district is willing and eager to, once they find something, to share it and to let everybody know what's going on, because we want what's best for students. And so if we find something that we think works, everybody's willing to share. And so it's great having those opportunities. It's great having Ms. Watkins and Ms. Hill come in, just to be able to have that meeting and to let teachers share and say, hey, this is working in my classroom, because it's awesome when teachers start having that conversation and bouncing ideas back and forth off each other. That is when true professional development is happening. And so it's been neat seeing that this year, just seeing all of our teachers as a district grow with this whole technology component. So thank you very much.
We thank you.
And I did want to say one thing. When I spoke to Mr. Faulkner earlier in the year, he said, I wasn't for sure about virtual learning. And then I spoke to him and he said, I think I may want to be a virtual teacher. You know, I'd continue to do this. That he really enjoyed it. So I thought that was amazing.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Faulkner. And
There's always going to be students who can't come to the classroom for some reason.
yes.
You're exactly right. And I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, like Ms. Davis was saying, I felt like I enjoyed the interaction with the 30 students in my class because of the, you know, the performance aspect of it. I enjoyed being in there. And so I thought, I will never like being in front of a computer. But when I was able to see very quickly that I was able to reach students that I know that I wouldn't be able to reach, you know, if they were there with their peers, 30 others. I mean, the students that I know in years past that wouldn't ask questions and wouldn't reach out for help, those students right now are asking me questions because they are not feeling pressure from their peers, and they don't feel pressure from their teachers because they're in the comfort of they're in their comfort zone, and so they are asking questions. And so that's been the best experience for me, is just being able to help those students and know when they need help and be able to meet them where they're at to give them that help. So thank you very much.
Miss Burton is shaking her hand so hard. I'm asking for it. She's excited.
Thank you, Mr. Hogger.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you want to leave us, you're more than welcome to, or you can stay either way. And
thank you all very much.
So we want to continue with the Difference Maker Award and completing those virtual observations that we're doing. So you all will get to see another teacher highlighted next month. So we're excited about that. So I had presented, or I had sent to you through Schoology a copy of the written CDIP report, and it is pretty much identical. We changed a few things, but they had requested that we leave those documents the same and continue the work that we were doing last year using that 18-19 data. So we want to take a moment, just the entire instructional team, and I'm going to stop talking in a moment and turn that over to Ashley and Sarah as well, and just highlight some instructional updates for you all to let you know what else kind of been going on in the school district this school year. So let me present my screen again. Okay, and hopefully you all can see my screen. So I just wanted to start by giving you an update on the tentative test window for this school year. And so access testing, that is our testing for our English language learner students. And that will start in March and go through April, and that is online testing. We have ACT testing that's going to be coming up. The initial test date is on March the 9th. And then, of course, we always have a makeup test date. And this year we have an emergency test date in case everything else goes off the table in the state and we need to use that date. And the ACT testing will be for all juniors this year. That will include any students retained in 11th grade and foreign exchange students. And then it will also include eligible seniors who were not able to participate in the ACT when we had the initial spring testing in spring of 2020, or the fall makeup testing. So any of those eligible seniors will also be able to participate. And then the EOC is our end of course exams, and we've already completed one test window for our students. And then we have our second window coming up in February and third window in April. And then also those early graduate students that are participating in the end of course, they also can participate in the ACT. That's happening in March. And then our kindergarten screen, that usually happens at the beginning of the year, but they have left that open all year long because for some kids, they may enroll late this year just due to COVID. And then K-Prep, you can see there, that is still to be determined. But from my meeting today, they are still moving forward as if we will be testing. And as far as accountability, they're not for sure on that as well. But we are going to continue to move forward. And so I'm going to turn this over to Ashley Hill. I think she's going to begin. And Ashley has been focusing this year on all of the schools, but especially the primary and the elementary school.
Hello, guys. Thank you all so much for allowing us to talk today. We really have the opportunity here to share all those wonderful, fun, those good things with this instructional update. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you to the board, to Mr. Cox, Ms. Davis, for seeing the importance of curriculum and instruction work in our district and allowing us to bring Sarah Watkins on board this year. She has jumped right in and been so critical in our middle and high schools, and we have just been able to work so well together as the district instructional team, and then being able to go out into the schools and work directly with the teachers and the principals. And speaking of the teachers and principals, we really want to commend them and thank them for their commitment to continuous improvement. They are always so kind and eager to learn, and we're learning along with them every time we go out. So I just want to start by saying thank you to all the schools who are just so wonderful to work with. So the first piece of instruction that I want to highlight is what we call our PASS program, which stands for Positive Approach to Student Success. And this is actually in place at the primary school. And this was actually happening prior to COVID. And it is a way for us to get those students who struggle with some behaviors support that they need. In some instances, just anywhere, you know, if a student misbehaves or whatever, they're pulled out of the classroom, which causes them to miss that tier 1 instruction, that grade level instruction. And that's just not okay. And so this wonderful program, we have actually 2 teachers at the primary school that are strictly the PASS coaches, they call it. And when these students are pulled out, they actually receive supports and interventions, and they have a curriculum that they use to actually teach these students coping strategies and ways to decrease those behaviors, with the end goal of being keeping them in that tier 1 instruction classroom for longer periods of time. They are monitored. There's actually some instructional monitors that work with those teachers for them to be able to monitor students successfully. And we know that when we do get all of our students back in the classroom, that this is going to be so beneficial for those students that struggle to stay in that tier 1 instruction class. Secondly, I know Ms. Davis has talked several times about all the math work that has been done in grades K through 5. And so she had spoken before, and on our CDIP, we had discussed needing to do that type of thing with our reading and writing at K through 5. And so we actually, back in the spring, met with all teachers. And I think at one time or another, we had every single reading teacher from K through 5 together, and it was virtual. And actually that time where everything had kind of turned to virtual allowed us the time to be able to meet together and decide, you know, like, what are our goals? What do we want with the program? We don't just want to go out and purchase something to be purchasing it. And so we went, I don't know how many webinars we went through with different programs, and we settled on core language or core knowledge language arts, or CKLA, with an Amplify component. And so that's the CKLA is actually the book, like the textbook, the written part, with Amplify being an online component. And shout out to Promise Neighborhood for providing about 75% of the funding to purchase this program. It is not just a traditional reading and writing, it's very innovative. It uses science and social studies and high interest knowledge to actually teach skills to students. And we have seen great successes with our students, and hearing them. I was in a second grade reading classroom the other day doing a virtual observation, and they were learning about the War of 1812. And I know that's something that I didn't learn about until probably middle school social studies. And so it's just been amazing to see the student response and the excitement about reading. And we really hope that we can expand it. Grades 2 through 5 are actually using the CKLA, and we hope to expand that further down to include kindergarten and first grade soon, just because we've seen such success with it and have heard such wonderful feedback. So we're really excited to get our reading program amped up, just like math. The next thing I want to discuss is KAS, which is Kentucky Academic Standards Professional Learning Mini Grant. So we were actually awarded this in the fall of 2019, so it's been a little over a year ago. We received $10,600 from KDE, and it was specifically to use for the promulgation of the Kentucky Academic Standards in our district. Our state had adopted at that time they had adopted new reading and writing, math, and social studies standards. Science is on deck to be reviewed next, but we were able to have release time for teachers to come together and discuss like architecture of the standards, how to read them, what's the new content, where has content shifted. We were able to pay for registration fees for trainings. We were able to purchase professional learning materials with this money and other things as well. And it was just really beneficial for us to be able to have that extra pot of money that we could pull from to really enhance learning around the standards for our teachers. Cindy has spoken to you guys before about our mentorship program. Of course, KTIP was defunded a few years ago, and so each district is left to its own to kind of have that new teacher attrition type program. And so we have sort of beefed it up this year. So our new teachers and new to the district teachers have their mentor, which they had in the past, but then we had given a few more supports this year with a monthly checklist of talking points. And of course, the teachers are visiting each other's classrooms, and we saw that was very beneficial last year to see other people's classrooms and how they were working with those expert teacher observations. And so Sarah and myself actually next week, the week of when we come back from Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we will be meeting with each of the new teachers. We have them sign up for a time, and we really just want to do a check-in and say, hey, how's it going? Like, what's the good, the bad, the ugly? We really want to be a support system for them, because new teacher attrition is important to us at Corbin. We want to keep our good teachers, and we want to keep we just want everybody to really feel like they're getting the supports that they need here at Corbin. And so the mentoring program is a great way to do that. Next is this is something I'm really proud of, and without Sarah and Miss Davis, we couldn't make this happen. But Sarah and I were talking back before Christmas break just about, hey, what are our goals? What are some things we want to do as the district instructional team? And so we came up with this Corbin Professional Learning Series. Actually, our state releases professional learning series, so we have one here now in our district, where we highlight some sort of true need of learning for our teachers every month. We want it to be beneficial. We want it to be timely. We want it to be relevant. And so this month, we actually presented this week at the high school and at the middle school. and our topic was blended instruction, which is something we've never had to worry about pre-COVID. So we talked about the ins and outs of synchronous and asynchronous learning and how it's a true blend of both of those that actually is most effective for students. And so we have taken feedback from the teachers, and we're thinking our February training for our professional learning series will be all about student engagement. Things like Mr. Faulkner was talking about, being able to engage and build relationships with our students. We want to spread those type things around our district, just like he was saying, to make sure that everybody has lots of tools in their tool belt to reach their students. Our impact survey results have said, you know, our teachers want relevant professional learning and coaching, and so using that information, we are so excited about our professional learning series. Next, we have been in partnership with Southeast South Central Educational Cooperative, and we're actually in year 2 of our partnership with them in something that's called active implementation. And so what it is just kind of in layman's terms, it teaches us as a district how to implement things in our district to fidelity. You can see in that little graphic there, if you do not have an implementation plan, an implementation team, when you have some sort of new innovation or new program you want to use, if you don't have the correct implementations, only about 14% of your staff is going to feel what they're able to do the program with fidelity over a 17-year period. And that's just not the results we want to yield. With an implementation team, you can get to 80% fidelity within 3 years. And so the team, the district implementation team, has representatives from every school, and we are actually focusing on working with grades 2 through 4, the math teachers. And we came together, we looked at data. It was like a year-long process to even get to where we are now. But we had decided that we wanted to focus on the 8 mathematical teaching practices, because those practices, it doesn't matter what program you're in, good teaching is what it employs. And so good teaching is good teaching no matter the program. So we're really excited. Our next step with that, we've already determined the BIT. There's lots of acronyms, which is the Building Implementation Team. And we will be in year 3 then coaching those teachers on the 8 mathematical teaching practices. Us ourselves as the DIP, we're going through the coaching training this month and next. So we're really excited about that for our building capacity in our district. Lastly, I want to talk about, before Sarah starts, when I first started this job a year and a half or so ago, Cindy and I were talking about goals and things we wanted to do. And so one of the things that came up was RTI, or response to intervention. And we realized that our district plan had not been updated since 2012, 2013, that school year. So it had been, it had been a few years. And so it was time to look at that. And so Cindy and I got ourselves some training, and we have worked with Ms. Chandler and Lori Beth Brock and so many other people, admin at each school, trying to build this district RTI program for us. And so we have it finished. Well, nothing's ever finished in education, but anyway, we are starting to roll that out. We're starting at Corbin Primary School. So we're starting with K through 3, and then we're going to actually scale out. Of course, RTI is implemented in all of our schools, but just the revamping and making sure that we're all calibrated using the same data collection tools and that sort of thing. We know the importance of successful intervention is really pertinent to a lot of our students, and especially with probably here the COVID slide once we do come back more. So we know that it's super important for us to really amp up our RTI, and so we're really excited about doing that. Starting, actually, we met today with the administrators at the primary school, and we will begin rolling that out in just a few days, next week, I believe.
All right, good evening, board members. So this next part that we wanted to share with you, that we wanted to highlight, was the Distance Learning Playbook book study we were able to do last fall. And this has probably been one of the highlights that I've seen, something that we've really done that was so successful with our teachers. So there was a book that came out this past summer called the Distance Learning Playbook. And it was some professional learning for teachers on how to be a good virtual teacher. What is this distance learning thing? And it just came at a perfect time. There's some big names in education. You can see John Hattie and Douglas Fisher. And so when we saw this, we thought this is a great resource for our teachers. So we were able to fund this with that mini grant that Ms. Hill talked about earlier. We purchased one of these books, and we kind of sent that out to the teachers at the middle school and the high school. And we asked them, is there anyone who would be interested in coming after school for a couple of hours and doing this book study to help you be a better virtual teacher? And we kind of hoped maybe we might get 8 teachers, and we had 16. So there were 15 teachers and 1 administrator who were part of that. We met 4 times to discuss what we had learned from the Distance Learning Playbook, how things were going as we went along, and it was wonderful. It was a great time for those teachers to get together and share great ideas. It was a really good book study, and we plan to do a lot of those in the future as well, providing that extra professional learning for teachers who want that extra in their profession. Something else, and I've got to work really closely with this, is the new Teacher Center coaching. So I did a certification on that to become a coach. I wanted to be really good at that. I wanted to be great at coaching teachers, and so went through that process. And I've been coaching a math teacher at the high school, Mr. Cody Philpott. And so the hope is that we are going to build capacity by he's going through this coaching cycle. You can see here the cycle that they go through and that MTC uses when we're coaching teachers, coming alongside of them and helping them. And I've been working with him, and he's been going through that coaching process so that next year he can be a teacher coach for those that are in his department. And our idea is this is going to get nothing but bigger and bigger, to where we have lots of these teacher coaches in these buildings. We're building capacity for the new teachers that are coming in. We're going to have people specifically trained on how to be a good coach for other teachers. So it's been a great process that we went through. There's also one other coach. NTC has provided a coach at the middle school, and Mr. Davis is doing that at the middle school. So we have one at the middle school, one at the high school, but that's just the beginning. We're going to try to grow that program and really build capacity in our buildings.
And I just wanted to take a moment to say, with Cody Philpott going through this training with Sarah this year, it's going to help build capacity in him as our new math lead at the high school. And that's coming in at a perfect time because I know Carcilla spoke about this before, but evaluation of that math program at the high school, and then, going through this kind of math audit and looking at what's going on there, and then Cody Philpott being able to take a lead as we push forward with that for next school year.
Yeah, and it really has been a great process. He has been wonderful to work with, and I think we're really seeing the fruit of that, of this new thing that we're wanting to implement in our schools. Something else that we wanted to give you an update on is how virtual learning is going. So Ashley and I have been in nearly every classroom. We have went in, looked at Google Classrooms, we've watched the live meets, and we've seen what's been happening asynchronously. We are almost finished with doing that, to where we would have been in every single classroom and have observed every single teacher in our district. And we just wanted to say this, and I know Ms. Davis talked about this with the Difference Maker Award, but we are truly seeing some wonderful things, some innovative things. I'm just astounded every time that I'm going in to do these observations. I just feel like every time I'm seeing something that is so new and that is so great. This teacher, I just snagged a quick picture. She started off her class with the virtual learning expectations every day. She starts off with that, and she has an agenda for them, what she expects from them on that day. Just truly good things. And that's not a superficial compliment. That's not just a good job, pat on the back. I can assure you, and Ms. Hill as well, that there are good things that are happening for our students, and our teachers have really risen to the challenge of virtual learning. It's been a pleasure to see those classes. Something else that's been great that's happening at the middle school, they are doing summative assessment analysis. They were doing that a couple of weeks ago, the administrators, and they invited us along to come and see what that looked like in their school, and it was wonderful. So they are meeting, they went through this whole process. They're going to continue to do it throughout the school year, but they have met with all of their teachers who are teaching at a common level. So the 6th grade math teachers, the 6th grade social studies, 7th grade science, every level and every subject group are giving common assessments. And so after they gave those common assessments, they sat down with their administrators and looked at the results from those. And they really had some great conversations about teaching with fidelity, about the instructional practices. If one teacher, their students just seemed to really get that question, and the other teacher, their students looking at the data, they struggled. They were having conversations on, well, this is what I did, and it seemed to work really great. Those conversations were wonderful. And so we were glad to be part of that, and that's something that is great. You know, I feel like a lot of the beginning of the year, we were thinking, how are we going to do this? How are we just going to be able to teach? But they're just not thinking, how can I teach well? They're moving into things that are phenomenal. So for them to be doing summative assessment analysis with their work was just great to see. So know that there are great things happening there at the middle school. We also had the BPL team. That was a first for our district this year. And they were a virtual professional learning team that gathered together a lot over the summer. And it's a team of 11 educators. They're in every building. There are at least 2 in every building, if not more. And they were there to just be a resource for teachers. They created a lot of how-to videos, how to set up a Google Classroom, how to teach a live meet. We created a lot of those videos over the summer and hosted them in a virtual learning catalog. There were also some that presented in our district PL day, the professional learning day that we have at the beginning of the year. And throughout the school year, they've been there for teachers that have needed something. They just go right down the hallway and you can talk to a VPL member if you're having an issue with your Google Meet or anything like that. They've been a great resource as we went along. So we wanted to end with the looking ahead. We've had great things happening and only more great things that we have in store for our district. So something that we are really excited about, I told you that distance learning playbook for teachers went so well. Well, those authors have came out with a new book. It's for school leaders, for administrators, any kind of leader in a position. So we're wanting to create a book study for that. We've got plans to work with administrators and helping them. How can you be a principal in a virtual world? So we're going to do that book study. We're working on even trying to create some ELA credit for that for those administrators. We're also the coaching training that's going to happen in February to March, building capacity with instructional leaders. We're meeting with Leslie, Texas. There's some other great math coaching webinars that we're going to be part of. We also talked about that PL series, the Corbin PL series that we've started. So our topic for February, you know, in January we did the blended learning. For February, our topic is going to be virtual student engagement. How do you engage those kids that don't want to ask a question on camera? And that's a big problem that we're having. So we want to provide lots of resources for our teachers to kind of choose a couple of things to maybe try to implement in their classroom. We're still doing as needed professional learning for teachers. If there's something that they need, we are there to help them with that. I know Ms. Hill tomorrow is going to be doing a Jamboard and breakout session at the elementary school. So as needed, we're providing that professional learning. We've also got a Spotlight student program at the high school looking at their data. These are students that when it comes to their ACT score, they are so close to hitting benchmark. They're within 4 points of hitting that benchmark. And if teachers could just do one extra thing, just a little bit of encouragement, just a couple of extra practices with those students, they could hit those benchmarks because they're so close. So we've called them Spotlight students. We're trying to really focus on them. There are over 100 Spotlight students at our high school. so we're still working with them. We're going to be getting their true score data next week. That's our mid score. And then the ACT that'll be coming in March. So we're going to continue to do that spotlight program for those students that are so close to ACT benchmarks. We're also at the high school. They are going to meet one-on-one with every student and scheduling their next year's schedule on what classes they're going to take. And they wanted to take that time one-on-one to have conversations with students. What do you want to be when you grow up? What's something that you're interested in? Well, let's put you in this class. Maybe you should try this and see if it's something you want to pursue. So they're going to do that one-on-one with every student at the high school. I think there's going to be some great conversation in that. So we're going to try to help out with that as we can. In February and March, the high school will be starting that. And then we want to continue the virtual observations that we've been doing. They've been so encouraging to watch. And the difference maker, we want our community to know that our teachers are making a difference. We want parents to know that our teachers really are making a difference. And so we want to keep putting that positive stuff out there in our community and continue on with that for the rest of the school year.
Okay, I'm going to stop presenting, and I just wanted to give these ladies the opportunity to be able to take the time to share with you all today, because they are working so hard and they're doing such an amazing job, and they're being such a beneficial resource to the teachers, and they just have so much going on that it's hard to even get it all in to give you just a quick glance of that today. But as you can tell, there is lots to come, and our teachers are benefiting so much from having these ladies and being able to have an instructional team to work with. So thank you all so much. Do you all have any questions for us?
I think you've covered everything pretty well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. You can hang out if you want to, or you can go take care of your kids.
One thing, while we're going to transition to the next items, what Ashley and Sarah led us to do is not as much develop new initiatives, which they have done some of that, but just get really in depth with some of the stuff we were trying to do before. It was really tough on Cindy to try to do. Everybody knew that we needed to be sitting in on crime assessments, for example. You've got to divide it up to where you've got one person for two schools instead of one person for 5. It makes a lot of difference. They've done a lot of work, and what I have been most, bar none, what I've been most pleased about are the reception these ladies have gotten from the schools. Sometimes when you go into teachers' classrooms, they tend to be a little possessive of what's going on over time, and they have been received with open arms everywhere. And I run into teachers and I say, listen, Ashley or Sarah was in my classroom, and they helped me do this, and this. So money well spent by the board, and I think it's something that we've lacked for a long time. But it allows us to get that depth that we have not had in the past as far as this instructional activities.
One thing they kind of brought up in my mind, have you all gotten word statewide how we're going to be able to do the junior ACTs? Is it going to be a traditional in-person ACT this year for all juniors? How that would work?
We've not heard that. We're hearing this to be online. Is what we're hearing. We're also hearing, as Ash said, I'm not sure if you picked up on it or not, but I've heard it and I've forgotten it. But the folks who did not get to take it last year will get to take it this year as well. And so there's going to be a lot more folks taking it. But I have not heard the word that we're hearing is that nothing official, but it's going to be online.
Yeah, they have both options for the ACT, so there is online. I spoke to Ms. Brock today, and they are going to try to do the in-person paper option, and they're going to use the online option for makeup testing, is what she said they are trying to do.
I know in years past we've had a big focus on the entire junior class, trying to get them ready for that. If we could, not just the spotlight that they were talking about, but we could figure out some way to get them class engaged.
I know that all the teachers are working ACT-like items on the assessments that they're giving right now. Carcel and I talked this week about a couple of ideas that we have as far as math's concerned. Cindy mentioned, I told Cindy about it yesterday, but as far as math's concerned, we've got a couple ideas that direction. But I know Johnny and Nicole and Steve are really approaching it the same way we did when we were in person. They're utilizing bell ringers and class openers as far as ACT-like items. They've got some virtual stuff scheduled on Saturdays to come in and bring groups in, small groups to they've done practice. I think every junior's done a practice ACT up to this point, so they've got an idea as to what specialized direction they need to go on each test.
So they have practice somewhat with the virtual?
They have, oh yes, yeah. And when they do their assessments, their class openers, and those kind of things, they're still using all the ACT-like items that they've done in the past. But it is a little more challenging, but in some ways, I think it can be a little more specialized. Kind of like Tyler said, you can get these kids in sports has to be a little more specialized. Teaching the kid just throwing it out there and running into, putting everything out there for everybody. This allows it to be a little more specialized. Hopefully.
Targeted, individualized instruction.
Well, it's virtual differentiation is what I wrote down on the notes there. The virtual differentiation is, I don't think I'd ever use that term. It's kind of an oxymoron in and of itself, but they've done a good job with it. I do think that some of the stuff that you and I spoke about this week will have some immediate and very quick things that parents will love as far as improving ACT scores. And it's math is the main target right now.
So Cindy, did you need to tell anything else about the CDIP?
No, not unless you all have any questions. I think you've got all the written reports there, but everything is pretty much re-updated just a little bit, but very similar to the 1920 school year, which is what they requested.
Do anyone have any questions? Then we'll move on. We did have written reports from on special education and some grants. If anybody had any questions on those. Being none, I had Dave leave this on the list just to tell everybody that we have done the mid-year formative evaluation. It is not one that we formalize in writing. It's one that we do in one-on-one conversation with the superintendent, and that has occurred. The preliminary budget, excuse me, is one that we just reviewed, and we had highlights from that budget and then the full budget in our packet on Schoology. Anybody have any questions for Rhonda?
It's a solid budget, about close to 14% contingency. It's Rhonda's always very, feel free to jump in. I'm not sure she's still on or not, but she's always very conservative with this particular draft budget, starting things out. It's got some major payments in there that we had to make as far as the classified part of the retirement, which went up significantly, but it's still a very solid budget, and I think that we're going to be in good shape. And a few minutes later, we talk a little bit more about the CARES money, which is going to help us with some areas too that we're trying to always save money for. The technology part of this is going to be big, but it's a good budget. We're in good shape. The contingency is strong, but the part of the budget that is also very strong is because of that extra nickel that we've been able to acquire. The building fund is very strong as well. And the grant funds with the CARES money coming in is pretty strong, and Mark's applying for a big grant here tonight. So really all three of the areas where we secure most of our funds in good shape right now. So,
there's also plenty of unknowns, so it's good to have money. I think we all saw the mission statement and goals on Schoology, and I couldn't think of any other way to wordsmith it this year. And if Todd didn't think of anything, I think we're probably okay to stay with them this year.
Yeah, I was going to take that off, to be honest with you.
It's okay.
I'm afraid of it.
But we'd already discussed the fact that we looked at it, so I think we'll keep on trying to be our best. And we talked a little bit about the telling our story, Kentucky, but is there something else you wanted to mention about that?
No, I don't think we had a commissioner's webcast the other night, and basically it's something that, if you remember 2 or 3 years ago, when Dr. Pruitt was here, there was a part of what he wanted to add to the assessment was a thing called opportunity and access. And it was an opportunity for a chance for schools, districts to do things maybe unique to them. For example, we've got 110 kids in ROTC. that would be something we would want to highlight. But you're going to be able to do that and share that as part of your accountability, as part of the test, and receive points, if you will, for that, or credit for that. That when we changed commissioners, that kind of went by the wayside. But we've still all, and even in LSAC, we've all, with the superintendent of the advisory committee, we've all kind of championed that cause because we feel like that's a really good opportunity. This is what you're going to be doing basically. All districts are going to be providing KDE, and KDE will be sharing these stories of success. And it may be anything from a peer mentoring program to individual teachers that are doing something like Tyler's talking about, that there's going to be a repository where we can go in and look at all those. So I'm really looking forward to seeing 171 other districts and on a monthly or bi-monthly basis what their best stories are. And obviously is to create some excitement and some publicity for public schools. But if we don't tell our story, somebody will tell it for us. So I think this is a really good opportunity. It accomplishes the same thing that Opportunity and Access did, but it just took it out of the testing cycle, which is fine. That's all that for. But it is a really good program. I'm glad they're moving forward with that.
This is the time for open comments. Ms. Davis, are you looking at the chat boards this evening?
I am looking at the chat boards. We have no open comments at this time.
Thank you so much. And we'll move on to the minutes and financial management portion. We would need a motion to approve the board minutes for the December 10th and 16th meetings. And then that we've also received information about these financial management items taken by the superintendent.
Second.
So motion by Keith and motion by Steve and second by Keith to approve the minutes and that we received this financial management information. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries, sir. The next section is the personnel section. We just need a motion saying we've received notification of these personnel actions taken by the superintendent.
Second.
Motion by Carseal and second by Todd. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Oh, you know what? Just a typo. I believe the FMLA for Oregon 1 starts on 2/19/21. Under the operation items, there are 7 things. The first 2 actually don't have anything. We always leave those on there as placekeepers about fundraisers and field trips. It does also include approving the contract with Sherman Carter Barnhart for our elevator project and approval of the BG3 with construction documents for the Career Center. We do have David and Kevin here with us this evening. If anybody else has any other questions about either of those 2 projects.
I had a quick question for Mark on item number 3, the mental health awareness training grant that you're applying for. What does that entail? How long is that grant for?
It's good for 5 years. Basically, it's additional funding having to do with youth mental health first aid and mental health first aid in general. That particular program, it's an evidence-based program. It provides training. If you're familiar with first aid or CPR, it's the same type of training. You get certified for it. We want to train all of our teachers, all of our staff, so that they can assist. It's designed not to make you a psychiatrist or psychologist, but to make sure that you say the right things to be able to assist a person to get them to the assistance that they need.
And I wanted you to kind of share that with folks because in this time right now, we're seeing a lot of anxiety, a lot of issues for kids being at home. And so I think that's one good thing about the need back in school, even if it's only for 1 day a week right now. But these type of things are going on the same way. I had a threat assessment the other day that came across my desk, and I picked up the phone and called the high school, and you folks may remember that we hired Tony Karloftis not too long ago on this 1 year this one-year grant money that came from Texas Center for Safety. But that's what Tony's been doing. She's been, when the high school has those type of threats, or the middle school has those type of threats that come in, then they'll let Tony make that phone call and say how things going. You know, this came across our radar, and one of our software programs we have can pick up keywords, it can pick up things that may lead you to believe possibly there's something bad going on. So this is just another set of eyes, if you will.
Yeah, and the training, they have pockets of training for special groups such as veterans. The suicide rate for the veterans in this region is 7% higher than the national average. And so it's designed not to just work with adults as well as teens, but also to really spread it out to special groups as well.
VA did that training for us at our nursing facility because we're a veteran contract facility.
Mark, will all teachers be trained in this or just certain ones?
They should, it should be blanket. It should cover everyone.
Okay.
I mean, and not just teachers, I mean, bus drivers,
Right.
cooks, everybody.
So if this is similar to the training that I did, and every teacher is required to have suicide prevention training, but this is training before that. This is learning how to identify triggers within a person, changes in their normal behavior, changes in just their demeanor in the classroom. And so they're also, I'm sure, the component on how to read people virtually, because, you know, we lose some of that ability to read someone without seeing their eyes. So there's ways to learn how to read their body language and things. We did all of that. It's pretty intensive, but anybody can do it. We had our nursing assistants, everybody did it.
Well, just like you mentioned, knowing what to say. I mean, because, you know, a lot of times people are hesitant because they're not sure what to say. Afraid that it might trigger something maybe worse. So that's good training.
You have to go through a number of simulations, and so yeah, it is intense.
Are there any other of these 7 items that we need to ask questions about before we vote?
On 4 and 5, the career center and the elementary school elevator, I appreciate Kevin and David making the trip here today. I didn't know if they needed to say something more for this year if we need them.
We're just here to use it.
Well, we always need to.
I appreciate it.
Just to reiterate, just the question that you and I had this afternoon about the, for lack of a better term, catwalk or observation deck, whatever you want to call it, that's something that you'd added in. And
Yeah, we talked about that.
And we talked about it being a nominal amount.
That's right. The platform was already there. All we did was add a wire partition. So if there is anybody on an observation deck, they're not accessible into the storage area. Now,
I think we'll utilize that maybe more so than we realize now.
Good teaching tool, you can look down, it's a different perspective and see things.
I've got a feeling that if this goes over the way we hope it does, there'll be a lot of schools wanting to come visit. And good observation, that'll be a good function to do that and not disrupt class or be in harm's way.
Well, if there's no further discussion, I would move to approve essentially 3 through 7, since 1 and 2 here. We don't have it.
So motion by Todd and a second by Stephen. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you guys, we appreciate you all so much. Just leave there, I'll get it. I actually hate those chairs. And I keep rolling over this brick back here, I'm afraid I'm gonna break something.
Yeah, and Jim's been adding to the.
I see that there's more than last time.
You guys be safe.
Thank you. Thank you all, happy new year.
Bye.
It's so nice around 2021.
That's right.
So under discussion items, the first one is the CIO position.
Just want to give you a quick update, really information on it. There's no need for action by the board, but we want to re-advertise that position again. We're now going to move forward with it for a couple reasons. First of all, we're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, and it allows us to become a little more focused on what we want to do. The other part of that is that we've been notified that there's significant CARES money coming down the road that we will have access to, that potentially is quite a bit more than what we got the first time. We can use it in the same fashion we use Title I funding, which will allow us to pay their salaries. So, and this funding is good all the way through 2023 for us to use that. So, knowing that we can pay for part of that salary up front, I think makes it a little easier decision to be made. But since there has been a significant amount of time since the last time we're going to re-advertise, and we'll contact the folks from the first interviews that we did and let them know that the job was re-advertised, that we're interested. Again, just to let you know about that, because I know that was something that you had talked about in my evaluation. Number two, and again, for some reason I picked up an older copy. I've got the copy that I did notes on, but the capital funds request, I just want to let you know the capital funds request has been approved, and that's the request that we made to use the excess restricted funds money for things that are still on our DFP, and so that was approved. We got that information last week. So some of the things that we talked about prior to that are on full speed ahead kind of position. I'm really glad to hear that. That was, I don't want to say we're sweating it, but that's something that we certainly were looking forward to, anxiously to see what KDE's responsibility is. He was in the affirmative, so we're in good shape there as well. You've got a sheet that I handed out to you that explains that. If there's any question on it, I'd be glad to share that with you. But that's kind of, I just looked at the sheet.
It says excess restricted cash at the top.
I've got extras. I'll bring it from you. I'll get you much back. I'm sorry, I thought all that.
Is the increase in equalization on the growth nickel for 2023, or is that projected, or is that already in a statute or something? Or
that's already in statute. Yeah. So basically that, and if you want to look at that sheet, just the gist of it is this: is that if you take out our bond payments, which are mortgages, if you take out our bond payments, then this year, 2021, there's $577,000 left. We go through that, and we spend some of that on like property insurance, buses, some repairs at the football field, and a roof repair. All of those things are approved by KDE. That's kind of what we're waiting on today. Then, as you said, Todd, that goes up each year. Then Jim put the $175,000 in there for the. As you see, will be taken off of that amount in fiscal year 22, 23, and 24, and on forward. That's our career center bond. But that, if you remember when we discussed the nickel that got equalized, they equalized it for 25% the first 2 years, and then the balance of that term they're equalized 100%. That's why there's a big jump there in the excess cash. That's why, honestly, it would have been nice just to have the first 2 years, but the fact that they're going to go ahead and do that for the other the balance is going to allow us to go do a lot of other things that we have really only been dreaming about, quite frankly.
and that's statewide?
No, that was 20 districts. That was 20 districts that had a third nickel.
No, I mean, it's statewide for everybody that has that.
Yes.
Sir?
It's statewide for everybody that has that.
Yes, there had to be 20 districts in this region. There was 2.
Because I started saying there were some schools that got it.
And that's,
Prior to that.
yes.
That's what kind of broke the precedent. The statute said that no third nickel would be allowed to be equalized. However, they came back in the budget before last and equalized 4 districts. That kind of opened Pandora's box, and so the other 20 districts that were in that category said, "What about ours?" And back and forth, and it was we were watching that very closely. Zen was out, and then finally came back in. And that kind of leads me to something I was going to say. If you don't mind, I was going to say it in I'm just going to go now because I think we're done with it. I would love for this board to, I'm not asking to do any action, I would love for this board to maybe think about a letter of thanks and appreciation to Senator Stiver and Representative Huff. They were instrumental in that. They really were. I was on and it reminded me of it, I thought about it today, because I was on a Southeast South Central meeting with them, and they were there today speaking about various different things, and I thought, they played a big part in that. And they're very, very good at strong advocates for education, very strong advocates regardless of anybody's politics. They're strong advocates for education in southeastern Kentucky as well. So if it's okay with you, I'll draft something, send it out to you, let you guys do your wordsmithing, and then I think sending them a formal letter of thanks would be really nice.
it is always appropriate to say thank you.
And that's, that was my last.
Are there any comments from board members?
I'm excited what Tyler has done, because developing those relationships, that is the most important.
That's the key.
Yeah, that's the key. Because once you've got that, there's one relationship established, and it's so much easier to teach. You know, it really is.
Well, it's exciting to hear, how they share that with the other teachers, and, that's all the difference right there, because especially the way technology is changing, they're just now getting more and more used to it. I mean, it's just good to see that we're having that.
Exactly, and anything that is, we will continue, and by having those little chat rooms or how he does it, he's right. There are students that would be intimidated in a regular classroom setting, that would be afraid, or, not feel comfortable about asking questions, and are embarrassed, and that's the thing. And honestly, with math, you can even hear it from adults, oh, I never could do this and that, so on, and they have a fear of it a lot of times. So I think it's even more beautiful that it started out with a math teacher. Okay, that's how it is.
He done great, man.
He's a good teacher. He was a good administrator, and he chose to go back to the classroom. I don't think he quite got that out of the system, to be honest with you. And you can see his enthusiasm and everything that he does. He loves teaching kids. He loves teaching teachers. So he's kind of best of all worlds. There was a couple of things I glossed over. I apologize. This is Board Appreciation Month. There are gifts at your place. Rhonda, Cindy, obviously we all kind of chipped in, got all that done today, and just ran different places. But it is a small token of our appreciation. So thank you all very much for the countless hours. I was going back through trying to find something on an agenda that I had to send to KDE to the minutes as to when it was approved. And I kept saying, gosh, surely we didn't have this many board meetings. Several months there were 2 board meetings. And so we appreciate the extra time that y'all put in, and know that it's very much appreciated by us. And also there's food over there for you folks as well for dinner tonight. I know they have to mention that. I really mean that.
Do we have need of an executive session? We have some personnel items you want to talk about.
There's a couple of things, yes, very, very quickly.
So we will have need of an executive session. That's per KRS 64.810, section 1, subsection F, actually, personnel issues. There will be no action taken from this, and so for those who are watching virtually, you may go ahead and leave the program. We are going to turn off, because when we adjourn, we will put that in minutes, and there will be no action for you to hear other than we come back into our formal meeting to adjourn. If you want to stay there and be on mute and not see anything, you can, but I think you might want to go watch TV. So thank everybody that joined with us tonight. We certainly appreciate it.